reminders. I had to scan them in as a PDF. Save. It's easy for me to get that off. Than it is to, if it's.
Yeah, and that was, that's fine for, but, if we make it accessible to the public, then we're gonna have it. It's gonna have to be.
Line unmuted.
All right, I think we're ready to get started. If everyone will stand, Commissioner Benson, please, prayer, talk about the pledge.
Father, we thank you for this hour. We thank you for this opportunity. We just bless your name because your name worthy to be blessed. Father, as we go through this meeting, we ask your blessing upon us as we do what is best for our citizens. We thank you for what you've done thus far. We thank you for what you're going to do in the future. Father, but we do come praying right now for this county and this country. We come praying mighty, Father, that you know all about everything that's happening now before the foundation of the world. And we thank you. Father, then we expect you to lead us, help us and guide us now. As only you can do and you will do, and we thank you for what you're going to do. These blessings and all other blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to this meeting. It's Tuesday, October 28, 2025, 6 p.m. We have a conference line set up. Number there is 1917-900-1022. Access code is 32347#. This is not a toll-free number, and you may be subject to long-distance charges according to your long-distance plan. When the chairperson opens the meeting for public comment, please follow the below instructions. If you wish to speak, please dial *5. The moderator will unmute your line when it's your turn to speak and notify you by announcing the last 4 digits of your telephone number. Please announce your name and address. You will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. Any person wishing to address the board regarding an agenda item will be given 3 minutes for comment. The commenter may only speak 1 time for each agenda item. So with that said, this is a workshop, so there's no actions to be taken, just discussions. We'll move on to item 3, the board to continue to discuss solid waste operations.
So I believe where we left it at the last meeting, there was some discussion about, potentially charging for anything larger than a pickup truckload. There was some discussion about restricting the use of trailers at our sites. But I believe since then, there have been some concerns about trying to restrict to only pickup trucks, since some of our citizens may not have trucks. So we just wanted to bring it back to the board and see, after the last workshop, what your thoughts were. Now that you've had a little bit of time to think more on it and get some citizen feedback.
Yeah, I did have a lot of feedback on it, and citizens that, even elderly citizens that haul their trash out and can't, even in the back of the truck, they can't get in the back of the truck, so they do have a trailer, they bring their trash in, as well as citizens that don't have a truck, and they bring their, they hook the trailer to their SUV and bring their trash in, so, we do need to revisit that operation, I guess, if we're looking to make any type of changes to it, and really, I don't know why we would just go back to the basics of, retrain the tenants of what we are to take and what we're not to take, and construction debris and the debris that should be coming into the roll-off site, folks should be going to get dumpsters from,
Right.
Pops or whoever it is, and them haul it to the landfill. So I think that's the part that just didn't want us to overthink that too much, where we're trying to get to,
Well, I think the biggest, and Gary, you may want to weigh in on this, is what level of tolerance do we have for anything like C&D? And that's where I think it becomes a little more difficult for some of our attendants. If somebody brings a couple of blocks from their house, are we going to take that? Or does it have to be an entire truckload? Is there no tolerance for any construction debris at all? If people, so I think that's, without specifics of how much we will or will not take, is where it becomes a judgment call for our attendants, and there may not be consistency. Gary, do you recommend?
Yeah.
If you.
Also, how many loads people can bring
Correct.
is what we're running into too. Like when they clean out, let's say a whole house, do we take all that debris? I'm talking about like couches, chairs, stuff like that, carpet. It could be multiple.
And I think all that's accepted. It's just where we can get into an issue, say it's the weekend, and someone brings an excessive amount of debris, and then, we have to turn people with household debris away. And I know that doesn't happen every weekend. Typically, it does not. But there are times we could get into an issue with that. And we can just manage it, season to season like we're doing now.
what we say is, go ahead. No, go ahead, you go ahead.
Finish your-
No, go ahead.
Well, I don't wanna charge our people that have a card any extra money. I don't care what they bring it up there in, whether it's in a pickup truck or trailer or whatever. I don't wanna charge for anything extra. Now, I think that if there's a true contractor that's using the roll-off, excuse me, over and over and over, that may be something we need to look at. But I know if I'm tearing out a closet, or if I'm tearing down a little something or whatever, I want to be able to take it to the roll-off. You can call it C&D, you can call it whatever you want to. But, and I don't want anybody to question where I live. And for instance, recently, a couple of weeks ago, we took some things to the roll-off, and so one of the supervisors said, and I had somebody to take it for me, okay? And he was asked where'd it come from, and he said it came from Pam Beagle, and he says, well, she can't dump here, she lives in the city. Well, I paid that $178 times 4. So that's close to $400, and we hardly ever use the roll-off. So, for somebody to just assume, just because you live in the city and you pull up at a roll-off, you shouldn't be denied. If you've got a sticker, you've got a sticker, and you shouldn't be questioned about it. As far as weekend, that's when most people do their task around their house and yard. And we were denied on a Sunday, a Monday, and a Tuesday, saying we're not taking wood today. Well, LaWanda says that the dumpsters are supposed to be emptied every Friday, but by Sunday, we were denied. And then I was assured on Monday that they were emptied, and we were denied Monday and Tuesday, and that shouldn't happen. Not to me, it shouldn't happen to either one of y'all, it shouldn't happen to our citizens. That is, because just remember, most people do this stuff on the weekend, they're working during the week. So that's when we need to be prepared, whatever we need to do. If we need to put more dumpsters in, or whatever it is that we need to do, so that people that are doing their business their work on the weekend, they're not turned away. And as far as how many loads you bring, I don't think that you should be limited to how many loads you bring. You know, if you're doing work at home and you can't put it all on one load, you should be able to go back and load up and take it back again. That's what we pay for. Let's see. But I don't want to charge by the trailer load. I think if we do what we're supposed to do, if the attendants do what they're supposed to do, and I think that, Gary, the contractors is your biggest problem, right? It's not homeowners.
No, I wouldn't say it's homeowners, I'd say contractors in the city. And then, we do have a lot of people that don't have contractor's license or whatever. They work out of their truck or trailer, you know, their mom and pop things. They come up yard service and stuff like that. We get abused hard on that end too.
Well, if I have somebody helping me around my place or places, then I pay 4 times a year, $178. So I don't care what it is, I should be able to take it there. The other thing is, you know, when somebody goes there, it needs, first of all, let me back up. I guess it needs to be posted, and it needs to have, each attendant should have something in mind, because they have something on them that they can read, and it should be posted in clear view where people can see what the rules are. But right now, we need to discuss the rules.
I might say something about the rules. The way it's really written up for us to do, we're not supposed to bring nothing without those working there. They want to follow the rules, that's the rule. Didn't you, Mr. One?
Says prohibited materials right here. Prohibited.
So, yes, and I was gonna ask Conrad, you know, if this would, you know, if it would take an ordinance change, because construction debris, the way it reads in our ordinance, includes but not limited to steel, glass, brick, concrete, or roofing material, pipe, gypsum, wallboard, and lumber. So does that mean if someone brings one piece of lumber to the roll-off site, we're gonna turn them away? That's where I think it gets concerning for our attendants, because I don't want to ask them to make a judgment call at every site. Is that one piece of lumber? Is that 5 pieces of lumber? Is it, you know, where do we cut it off? So, or if they take a little bit of lumber and then the next person comes in with a whole trailer load of lumber, you know, do we need to look at our ordinance? And
Well, let me just ask a question. Wasn't it back in 06 or sometime that it was changed that we would accept these other things, remember, we've discussed this here before, and it was, I think initially, it was where it was supposed to be household garbage. And then it was changed so that it would let people bring these other things. Remember that
Well,
discussion?
I think what actually happened is the assessment was raised,
Yes.
but those are still prohibited materials. I think the materials were prohibited, but the assessment was increased, just in case, like once a year, someone wants to do a home improvement project. But that has, I think the concern is it morphs into, you know, people remodeling their homes or tearing a home down. I mean, I think the concern is where do we cut it off? Or do we?
Well, back then, didn't they charge for one? I wasn't here.
No, see, when they stopped collecting and raised the assessment instead. So yes, we used to collect. My understanding was that due to an auditor's concern, we stopped collecting at the roll-off sites. It's impossible to manage. And instead of collecting, the assessment was raised. And perhaps that wasn't the best thing to do because it kind of opened the door for us to take all of these materials. And then I think since then, it's probably escalated because we don't have, I just don't think we have a way to cut it off. And that's what's causing the concern. So do you stop it at, I mean, is it one trailer of construction debris is okay? Or is it, you know, 4 trucks and trailers later, we say, okay, well, that's enough?
Yeah.
Or is it when the container gets full?
But we're not in the red with our solid waste budget.
We are not.
So why are we having this discussion in the first place? I mean, we're not losing money, so why are we talking about all this?
Well, do you wanna let the contractors like the one done it this week, one pulled up at my dump site, and they turned him away because he didn't have a card or a sticker. What'd he do? Pull right out there on 30 in the ditch right in front of the fence at the dump site and dumped a whole trailer load in the ditch right there. I got a picture of it here on my phone, right there back of the airport. And, that's what we've been getting. We've been getting, one day, right around here in the house, within 200 yards of here, it was cutting down a big tree. I left here one day and I seen him out there sawing it up. I went by the Shell station and went on when I was heading home. There was them 2 guys that was cutting up the tree right back here in this lady's yard, unloading all the stuff in the dump. So I said, well, I'm gonna see what I parked down the road. When they come back to Perry, I followed them up there. They pulled right up there and went to loading another trailer load. And I mean, that was back when they wasn't asking people for a card or a sticker. You know, they were supposed to be, but they weren't. Lately, this week, they've been asking them, and last week, for the card and the sticker. And you've had a lot of mad people, you know, but then some of them came up here and got a sticker and a card. You know, they had proof that they were, you know.
Yeah, that happens.
It happens. But I'm talking about a bunch of them come up here. Not just what used to be, but the people are trying to, you know, they're trying to do the right thing, so they're actually coming getting stickers. And, you know, but when you got people like these gentlemen that was doing this the other day, they gonna do it, and they gonna carry it, they're not gonna carry it to Greenville. They gonna get a sticker from somebody, and they gonna make them a copy of it, or whatever they need, and they gonna come to the site and dump it. And what's wrong with them dumping limbs? They logs that big around, 10, 12 foot long, takes 2 people to throw them. I've watched them pull them out of trailers there, 10, 12 foot long, that big around. Take 2 people to even pick it up. And when they get down to the site where Gary and them trying to put them in the incinerator, that turns into no problem on Gary.
Why can't we have a commercial card for these people? Charge
Because
them?
it's a residential assessment, that's why.
But I'm not talking about assessing them. You guys are sending all these people to my office now, and they're mad, and very few people didn't pay. But they're having to come in here and get their cards.
Well, we have,
I know, but I'm just,
let me finish. We have a franchise agreement for commercial solid waste. So someone has that contract. So our assessment is only for residential solid waste. That's why we don't give cards out for commercial, because we already have someone who holds that agreement for the county.
Where do I tell them to take this stuff then, if they're commercial?
I'll sell them. Or they can get a dumpster from Pops.
They ain't gonna do it. They're gonna dump it on the side of the road, like he says, not gonna happen.
Now, let me say this. If we're gonna stick to the stickers, then, or card, whatever it is, you're gonna always have this problem. People lose them, they forget them, but a way to, help that situation is you could have a list of who has, or who is eligible to have them. And if you drive up there, you're gonna have a driver's license and show the attendant and he can look, or it can be on the computer, and they can look on the computer. But as long, we don't have a problem, and I don't see why we're trying to create a problem. We're not in the red, and so I really don't see the problem. The only problem that I can see is that the weekends, you may not have a place to dump, and we can fix that. We can put more bins there, we can make sure it's emptied late on Friday, we can fix that. And I said we do nothing, we leave it the way it is, and just ensure that there's a place for people to dump on the weekend.
In other words, you want to dump everything that they come up with, it doesn't matter what it is,
Yeah, if I
and how
take
much
the
it is.
refrigerator up there, or if I take a truckload or two of limbs, then yeah, I pay plenty, I pay it 4 times I should be, and other people probably pay it more than that. We pay for that and we're not in the red with it, so why worry with it? Why
Well,
create a problem?
Not in the red, in these times, as hard as everything is about a dollar bill for the county right now, and the way everything's gone with what we've lost in Taylor County, everything we save is gonna be a plus, not a minus. You know, I mean, the people that finally started asking for the cards and the stickers at the dump, they've turned a bunch of them away that was from the city, no doubt. They didn't have a card, and they didn't care, they just got so mad they wouldn't even come up here and get a sticker, you know? And, I mean, we're getting about, Gary, what would you think percentage of the city garbage gets done?
Just the city? I'd probably say 25%.
Every bit of it. And the
That
contractors,
comes out of the city.
I would say
Just like
25%.
a quarter of the city's C and D.
I'd say a quarter of what we receive on the 9 sites, maybe 20%.
20 or 25% of the volumes in our solid waste department is coming illegally.
Illegally, oh yeah. And if you do the
So
contract,
if that's a fair statement, then it's only a matter of time because of the escalated volumes, that you're not gonna be in the red. You're gonna be dead broke and looking for somewhere to go. Because if you're hauling 20 or 25% of somebody else's debris, whatever it is, all that means is an escalation on the wear and tear and the exhaustion of trucks that we've just gotten to a point where we can keep up.
there's a ripple effect when you're hauling for that. You got the gas truck and all, the driver and everything. But here's a good example. A couple of weeks ago at Carlton, Jim's, on Friday, we tried to clean up the site. By Saturday night, they had filled up 12 bins on that weekend. One of the bins, they would fill them as fast as we pulled them on Friday. And I don't think that's normal people bringing in debris or stuff. And one guy brought in 4 loads, and I'm talking a huge trailer. They called me, and I sent a guy down there to check and see what was going on with it. When he got down there, it was on the 4th load, and the guy was gone when they called us about it. And that's what I'm talking about. That's abusing them.
Well, unless you know that it's coming from city residents, and how do you know for sure that 25% is coming from the city?
We've turned away like a percentage that they didn't have a card, so we assume they gotta be
But
city.
you assume, so you don't know.
Well, they didn't come and get a card.
You don't know.
They didn't call us, let's say that.
Right, but I'm just saying, we could theorize all kind of things for the future. But as of now, and as of, as far back as I know, we have not lost money. We're not in the red. And so, it just feels like we're creating a problem that's not there.
Well, I think actually, I would.
It's funny, all right.
That we probably, we ended up in
Real
our
funny.
solid waste discussions because we were in the red and we were having, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you were having to pull out I think our first, mine and your first 2 years on here, it ended up getting addressed because we were pulling money from the savings to float,
Yes.
to float the solid waste because it was steadily going down because there was not any money to.
You could operate it in 12 months without having to use reserve funding because it wasn't properly structured so that you had enough money to go across 12 months. So in essence, you were continually using reserve funds for operational costs, and that happened for years and years. So yes, sir, you're correct. There were tens of thousands of dollars, multiple times that had to be moved because the fund couldn't sufficiently make it through the funding cycle. And so now, yes, there is sufficient funding. We have been able to deal with some of our issues with capital purchases, with trucks and replacements. But if we're running on those kind of schedules, then I would just say that time's not on our side in respect to an escalated exhaustion of that resource. Your trucks are not gonna run forever. And I believe I understand that the last one of those was 8 to 10 years old, was all kinds of miles on there that got us into that place.
We probably got 2 trucks sitting in the yard right now that's got over 800,000 miles on it. We've got a total of 600. We've got 2 brand new ones, 2 that are around the 300,000 mark, and then we got 2 more probably around, I would say between 7,000 and 8,000.
So it's fair to say though that those would be at the end of life.
They are not.
And if you're running on those kind of schedules, isn't that gonna occur at a faster pace?
It does.
Mr. Chairperson, if I may, so I think we estimated the potential unspent funds in solid waste collection at around $200,000, but I haven't seen the true up for the end of the year. But the discussion at that time was not to change the assessment because we are utilizing 1 cent sales tax for capital purchases. We just changed the 1 cent sales tax ordinance to be able to use it for operations. So I think the board collectively decided to leave the assessment where it was so we could build up some funding in case we had to use that for capital purchases. Because capital purchases for solid waste are typically very expensive if we have to replace a truck or something like that. So no, we are not, we're not in the red. We are just now starting to be able to save a little bit of money. So I think it's more, no, we're not losing money, but how much do we want to utilize whatever funding is not expended for future capital purchases, with that concern with 1 cent sales
Right,
tax.
and we've been able to save money.
Yeah.
Operating just like we are right now. Okay, that money didn't fall out of the sky.
No.
And we have not, we've been able to save with it just like it is. And remember, we raised that solid waste fee, 2 years ago? Time flies by, but it wasn't that long ago, but yet we're charging our citizens more, but we want to say, no, you can't take that. We want you to pay more, but you can't take your stuff.
So I think the biggest concern really is the way our ordinance reads and how we want to address that. And I am not, Conrad, you need to help me, as far as ineligible materials. Is there any issue changing our ordinance, and is that, going to open the floodgates? So if we say, okay, well now, it's okay if you bring lumber or concrete or whatever, does that just open the door for people to, you know, tear down a home, bring it all to us? I mean, I think we've gotten a little better handle on that.
I think before you open the floodgates like that, I mean, you're gonna create even a bigger issue of just what Commissioner Fiegel said that her issue was the issue, yeah, it's not that we wouldn't be anymore. We
Right.
are in the right direction, but we tend to, the cans tend to get full by Saturdays, and we're turning people away on Sunday, and that's probably due to people like these contractors coming in and dumping half of a house in there, that are bringing half of a house. So if you don't go control the problem, I mean, the guys are bringing it to the roll-off site when they should be calling and getting a can. And, I mean, it's just, just when I built my house, I had to put a can on site. And when I remodeled my house, I had to put a can on site. Put it in it, people come and get it, haul it off. That's what they're supposed to do. That's the way it's designed and set up to operate. So, yeah, I mean, if you go open the floodgates and say drop everything, then you're gonna probably ignite the problem that she's already complained about.
Yeah, and I'm okay with stopping the contractors. I'm talking about a true contractor that has a contractor license. They should not be able to take a whole lot of stuff there because the people like us cannot take what we are generating. So yeah, stop that. But you know what? The roll-off attendants have the ability to stop that. We don't have to enact any more laws or ordinances or anything. Let them stop it.
And, you know, would it be fair to say if we stop that as well as, I know we got the card or sticker system that they're talking about, and stop the city residents? Because, I mean, we have to pay for all this to go to the landfill. I mean, it pays to go to the landfill, so we're paying for that. Contractors, I mean, he's already getting paid for it. He's not paying us for it. He should be going and paying the landfill like we're having to do. So he's taking the money.
That's true.
And he's basically double dipping when he should be paying the tops or somebody to come get the can from
I
the
don't
landfill.
disagree with that.
So, but couldn't we agree that we could even save more money if these people are if we're not having to pay for the debris or the stuff we're having to haul that we should be having to haul? I mean,
I'm just talking about regular citizens like us. I'm not a contractor, so when I have if something from my house that needs to go out there, I should be able to take it, okay? I'm not going to Greenville. I'm not hauling a little bit of stuff to Greenville, I can tell you that right now.
How are you expecting the attendant there to come up with an ideal way so they can figure out if you're a contractor or not? You gonna ask the man, he's a contractor, he gonna, you know, if he thinks he can't dump, or he's gonna say, oh yeah, I'm a contractor.
Okay, I can answer that. If he's got a sticker, look at the sticker. Look at his driver's license. If that sticker is in somebody else's name and his driver's license is different, then that would raise a red flag for me. Okay? But if his driver's license matches his sticker, then I don't see a problem with it.
I don't think you're gonna get these tenants checking people's license.
Say again?
I don't think you're gonna get these
Yeah,
tenants.
you have to pay him, debit there,
If, let's say a guy comes in, has a sticker, and he's got a load of debris, all kinds of debris. He comes in every week. We can't prove he's a contractor, but he does have a sticker to dump. What do you do? If he comes in every week with a load of stuff, you're thinking he's a contractor, but how do I prove he's a contractor?
And he's got a sticker
Yeah,
and his driver's license matches that?
He bring
Then
in-
why can't he dump then?
Huh?
Why can't he dump?
If he's bringing in the same type of material every week, you wouldn't think that was a little odd?
But I'm trying to understand, I'm not trying to argue, I'm trying to understand.
Well, this is what I'm saying. A contractor will take the signs off his truck and use a sticker he's got from his house to bring in debris. And you know, if he brings in 5 or 7 loads a week, that ain't normal. I don't bring in, maybe, besides household trash, I probably don't bring in 1 load a year to the roll-off site. Do you? How many loads you bring in there with one person? Huh?
Maybe one, and I clean the shit out of it.
If a guy comes in every week or 4 times a week, like that guy showed up with 4 loads, he had a sticker stating he was a resident, and it was legit, but he's.
You're saying there are users that are way above average when it comes down to.
Way above.
I'll tell you what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a public hearing for this, so our citizens can come and express their opinions, just like I'm doing. We need we need a public hearing on this. Let's hear from our people. Let's hear from our people.
You got a gentleman in.
Before we start stopping our regular people from taking stuff to the dumps, let's hear from them.
We got a gentleman sitting right here, Mr. Gene. Me and him talked about this. Gene, you mind saying something about it? What do you feel about it?
I'm against banning trailers.
Can you come to the podium?
I'm against banning the trailers. I have a small truck, a Tacoma, got a 5-foot bed on it. And I'm like some of y'all, probably 2 or 3 times a year is all I've cleaned up my yard. Don't have many trees anymore, but I trim trees and stuff around the yard. I can't haul all that stuff in my little truck. Sometimes once a year, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year. I doubt I ever haul it all 4 times a year. But I can't haul it in I'd have to make 4 or 5 trips in my truck to haul it all. And, I don't have the answer.
Is that a 1-axle trailer?
Pardon me?
Is that a 1-axle trailer that you got?
Yeah, I've got a 16-foot with double axle, and then I've got a 12-foot with single axle.
Right.
I would, very seldom is it ever full. Either one of them would ever be full.
Right.
And I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think banning people like us that pays this assessment every year from holding it off in the trailer, I just don't think that's the answer. I wish I knew what the answer was.
Would your 12-foot or your 1-axle trailer be sufficient to haul that load or haul that trash to the
Yes,
site?
sir.
So that's pretty well equivalent to the back bed of a truck. It's
That's
just
right.
lower, and you make it put it a little bit higher as far as the volume.
Right.
So if it were 1-axle trailers, that probably wouldn't be 16-foot log
Right,
debris
it wouldn't be.
or things of that nature. But it would still allow folks that are needing to put their garbage cans, or if they're cleaning up, or things of that nature, household trash, and they
And
couldn't.
like all the
Get in the back.
mentioned here, some people don't have a truck.
Right.
And you're restricting them, what they gonna try to get their neighbor to haul their trash off for them, right?
Yeah, what is a 1-axle,
So, trailers have
Small
1 or
trailer.
2 axles.
A small trailer.
12-foot trailer usually is 1 axle. If you've got a 16 or 20-foot trailer, it would be 2
Two
axles
So
or
a
3.
12-foot trailer would be a 1-axle?
Some of those, I think that's what Mr. Jean said his was. Yours is
Mine's
12.
mine's a 12-foot with 1 axle.
Right.
Now, they had, I've seen 10-foot trailers with double axles, but the majority of a light trailer, like most of us have, a 12-foot one, it's a single axle trailer.
Gene, if you think we've just limited it to single axle trailer, that would be a big start. I mean,
It would be, Jim, that's what, mine, that personally, I can't speak for nobody but me, but personally, I can pretty well haul off anything I need to haul off in a 12-foot trailer.
And instead of the height, you don't have to get in the back of a vehicle and get hurt or mess around with your garbage
right,
cans. You
I
can
understand.
just put it on something that's lower, a little more user-friendly.
Right, that's right.
And if you had an SUV instead of a truck,
Right.
you still could use your trailer.
Yes, sir.
I see.
Well, for me to wanna limit
what the individual homeowners can do, then we're avoiding the part of holding the contractors and the city people accountable for going to where they shouldn't go. That's the root of the problem, and at the end of the day, you probably could identify this guy, whether he got a contractor's license or not. He's mom and pop guy doing business for people, and whether he's
Several of them.
I wouldn't have a problem turning the guy away and telling him.
That, to me, that's where, if they come in there 3 or 4 times a week with trailer loads, then them's the people you need to be doing something with. I'm not going out there. That's 2 or 3 times a year may be all I haul, and it may not be that much.
If these guys are doing jobs like that, there should be cans on site. That's where the debris should go, and they should call somebody to come pick it up. And then move on to the next job. If they got 4 jobs going on, they need to make sure they got a can at each job.
I agree.
Okay, Gene, I want to ask you a question. So if you were to, say you've got a pump house, and you have to tear your pump house down and build another one, don't you think you should be able to take that to the roll-off?
Yes, ma'am.
And if it takes more than one load, it takes more than one load,
Yes, ma'am.
because you pay that $178 a year. Thank you.
I don't have a problem with the individual doing what we're talking about this gentleman doing, or anyone like myself that might go once or twice a year without anything other than household trash. But the ones we're talking about that aren't held accountable, we're dodging all around trying to regulate the regular citizen, and we're not holding the accountability to the contractors and such. I mean, until we figure out a way to hold the contractors accountable, and the ones that are acting like contractors that maybe not have a contractor license, then guess what? There's way more individual citizens out there than there are contractors.
Well, I know we have people that talk to us and they're not contractors, they're laborers. And if I've got a pump house to tear down and it takes 2 or 3 loads, I should be able to take it.
I agree with that.
And you could consider that C and D if you want to.
I've had people come to my dump site, bring their tractor along with a 20-foot trailer full of sheet rock, and unload it into the dumpster with their tractor for the front end loader. And you know, what do you say? Well, I'm too old to lift it, I'm gonna bring my tractor. That's, you know, if I'd have said something to them about it, you know, they unloaded it. I just asked them to not come back, you know, with a tractor up there on that property, because they backed up, they could tear up something or run over somebody there, or tear up the dumpster, whatever, you know, with a tractor. Mainly, they were blocking the road where people couldn't get up on the hill, you know. There wasn't no sense in that. That trailer load should have went to Greenville, you know. It looked like they had, after the hurricane, they had done got a whole trailer load of sheetrock out of a house, probably that got wet, roof got blowed off of it or something.
Yeah, well, what you're gonna find, if we make it too restrictive.
It's hard to get the employees to figure out, you know, just like this gentleman that was cutting a tree down back here. You know, he took 4 or 5 loads that day is what the gentleman told me, you know, and from right back here, 200 yards, you know, and he had a sticker, you know. And
Well, what's gonna happen, and everybody here, I think, has said this before, if you make it too restrictive, you're gonna find this stuff on the side of the road.
well,
You're
then
gonna find it in the woods, and if it's on the side of the road, our employees are either gonna have to pick it up, or it'll be left there. It'll be left there. That sure is the world gonna happen, because plenty of people are not gonna drive to Greenville with a little bit of stuff. They're not gonna do that. We have another guest here, sir. Are you here for this discussion?
I'm just learning. I'm a county citizen, yes.
Mr. Chairperson, can I ask our building official a question? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Is it feasible when someone comes in for a permit for a new home, demolish, you know, any type of building permit that could generate construction debris, can we ask to see their contract for a container?
Absolutely. I think I don't think our roll-offs, those little sites that I go to by the airport, they're not big enough for
That's why we're
construction
having
debris.
this discussion,
I
so,
like the single axle trailer deal because you can't put a whole tree in a single axle trailer. 2 or 3 stumps and that's it, that you'll be
but my
done.
question is, if we add that to our building permit process, and we make that something that they check off
They can
on,
prove it to us, yeah.
and they show us a copy of a contract with whomever, do you think that would encourage people to get a container? I mean, it's not going to capture everything, but would that encourage people to get a container if they have a project like that? Do you think that would help?
It has a potential to do some things. I feel like what we're continuing to talk about, I've heard what the chairman's saying, that the bigger continuing problem is the volumes that we're receiving that we're not getting any revenues for. Because somebody that's not even a resident, they're, number one, they're trespassing, number two, they're stealing from the folks that are paying those assessments. And those volumes, if it's 20-25%, is also what's taking away the opportunity for use when you come up, Commissioner, and the bins are full. Because those folks have gotten there before you did, or they were there the day before, whenever that was.
Well,
or
you
maybe
think
it
that
happened.
they have, you don't know who it was that put it in there.
No, ma'am, what I'm saying is we've established that there are users of this system that are not paying to use it. So wherever they're from, here nor there, they're not paying the assessment. And if that volume is at 20 or a quarter, then I think we've proven where the issue is. And again, that's what leads to the outrage when folks do go to the site. And they say, I got to the site and the guy with the sheetrock beat me there, Commissioner. Now I don't have anywhere to put my stuff and I got to sit on this trailer until these things get changed out. And it's on Saturday afternoon and these folks aren't going back to work until Monday. So I think therein lies the issue. It's not the folks that are trying to pay that would be coming to get a permit. The contractor that says, Mr. Building Official, I'm gonna be working at XYZ site. Yes, I've already talked to Pops. I have this bin that's gonna be there. It's those users that are up there taking away that potential. And they're not paying at all.
Yes, and that's, I can tell you for sure and certain that there are people from other counties that are using our roll-offs. I have actually seen them. I know they do it. I've seen them.
Me too.
They live close to your county line and they live just across the road and the roll-off is 1 to 2 miles, 3 down the road. I know a bunch of them are using our roll-off. And, you know, they're neighbors with I'm sure that they're neighbors with some of the roll-off attendants, and they're just not gonna say, you can't bring it here anymore. I don't see it happening. Because those roll-off attendants know who they are, and they know where they're coming from. I know that for sure, sir.
Then at that point, we're still spending taxpayers' dollars that pay the assessment to haul off other counties' trash. It's no different than the city residents that's going, that they're just not paying the assessment. We're spending money that you're not getting any revenue on.
You know, for the city, I think I pay about $32 a month. Anything I put on the side of the road, they get. So if he's a city resident, evidently he ain't paying no, I don't know how you can get by without paying it. If if there's an address, there's a charge assessed to it. And it's about $32 a month. I think it's $22 for the garbage and $11 for landfill.
And the people that's paying it that's bringing it from the city, if they got a residence in the city, they're paying $300, not $176. You know, but they don't want that sofa laying out in front of their house for a week.
It won't last that week if they call the city come get it.
If you call them, they'll come get it.
Call, yeah, white goods and all, they'll come get it.
They told me the other day they only picked up stuff in the front houses once a week on big stuff like that.
Yeah.
Once a week, what they call making.
Yeah, they'll come get it. We put stuff out all the time. All our city debris and trash goes on the city right away.
Yeah.
But I have 4 properties in the county. Let's have a public hearing. Let our citizens come.
Well, if you change the ordinance, you would have to have a public hearing anyway. Is there any appetite to change the ordinance?
Well, once you go to all that expense and time in advertisement, why not why not hear from our citizens before we take action? Let them come and tell us what they think. Then if you want to go contrary to what they say and change the ordinance and pay to advertise it, then go ahead. I won't vote for that, but.
Can I say something else? I talked to, when I found out, and I found out about this just by accident, by hearing somebody else talk about it. And I talked to a lot of people about banning the trailers. And not one knew about this, that this was being discussed. Not one person knew about it. And I'd be willing to bet that out of every Taylor County citizen, I would be willing to bet that 50 of them don't know that this is being discussed right here tonight. So, and I don't think y'all trying to hide anything. I'm just saying that the people need to know about these things where they can voice their opinion about it. That's all I want is, for the people like them, for the people of this county to know what's happening and to have a voice on what the outcome is.
I will say the end of last week or during last week, I did get some, and I passed it on to staff, praise reports for the tenants for checking for cards and such, and the guy did go, he got turned away, but he did praise the guy for doing his job, so to speak, and he did go back the next day with his card and got the guy's name and just, like I say, I passed it on to staff, the couple of praise reports for the tenants.
Wish it was all that way, but they ain't. That's what I wish they were all that way, but they're not. I had a lady in the lobby tell me if I didn't give her 2 stickers, she was gonna tear my lobby up. So they're not all nice people.
Good night, dude, just got sideways.
Mark Rowell, 384 Slaughter Road. I try not to speak of these things, so I have to write about it. I will say, just because I was here in 2006, I was just going to say, I remember when that happened. I haven't gone back and actually reread what I wrote back then to be 100%. But basically what was described was essentially what it was that whatever y'all were charging for, the county was charging for at the time, they stopped charging, they raised the assessment, and started accepting whatever it was that they were accepting at the time. I think the issue was I don't remember that they actually changed the ordinance to codify that change. So I think that might have been the issue that we're still dealing with back in 2006. I've sat through a lot of y'all's solid waste discussions, so I try to brainstorm, come up with ideas. The only thing I can even come up with, and I don't think it's feasible because I think it's too expensive and wouldn't work, is to have some kind of like credit card type of thing where everyone gets one of those instead of a sticker or whatever. You just have a thing where you swipe it. That nothing else, you could then see who is coming 3 times a week, every week, versus most of us that are coming once a week with trash. And I don't have a truck, I don't have a trailer, so I always have to get a friend to help me haul some stuff. I'm going to work on my deck. I have some lumber that I gotta haul off, but that's a couple times a year. I don't think that's feasible, That's the only way I think you could even come close to trying to keep track of it.
Well, my question would be, what staff member is gonna do that every week? Go over, how many roll-offs in this county do we have? What staff member is gonna go over every entry on every roll-off for a whole week, every week?
And then what would you do with the information? Unless
I mean,
it's limited.
If you had, I mean, again, like I said, I don't think this would work, is that card is ID'd to that person, and then run that into a spreadsheet and see where are the big spikes. And then you can try to determine if they're a contractor or not. Aside from that, I don't have any good ideas.
I think, Mark, I really appreciate your input, I really do, but I don't know that, do we really need to start doing that to our citizens? Really? Just asking the question, do we really want to go that far?
I'm not saying I even like the idea, I think that's just the only way you could even begin to track it properly. I'm not even saying it's a good idea, because I probably don't think it is, but.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mark. I think he put an idea out there just like the rest of us did,
Sure.
and we're still sitting here with.
Yeah. All
Not-
ideas are
not
welcome.
So, where do we wanna move forward? I mean,
I'd like to have a public hearing before we do anything, so our citizens have an opportunity to come.
will the board have a public hearing on it?
I don't have a problem with the public, but this is an open workshop. I believe it's a public meeting. And I've talked to folks who knew about it. I know there's probably folks that don't know about that, like Mr. Jean talked about, but if that gives folks, sure.
Well, maybe the paper will put something and,
Last time, and I'm a little disappointed in the 2 hours I spent writing that last story, apparently no one read.
I read it.
And I didn't mean to interrupt, but I will say we did add, we did see some posts on social media where I was a little surprised, where people were very openly saying, well, I live in the city, and if the county's not gonna let me take trash, what am I supposed to do? Which is why that's the story I wrote. Aaron had a side story to it, telling everyone in the city, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Whether it helped or not, we tried.
well, we can have flyers at the roll-offs and, the roll-off tenants could just hand everybody a flyer. That's one way to get the word out. And, you know, everybody doesn't go online and keep up with what goes on here. You know, just like Jean said, I wish this room was full of people and spilling over to the hall every time we met. But people just don't come out until something's already done, and they find out it's done, and then they call us. They don't call staff mostly, they call us and complain. So, you know, we just need to try to make sure that we can get the word out.
I don't mind having a public hearing, that's what we have to do, that's what the board is, like Commissioner Newman, I did get a lot of feedback on it. I mean, the negative I got was, you know, elderly folks not being able to get in the back of a truck or not having a truck at all and needing to hook their trailer bring a trailer into, the landfill behind their SUV. And, you know, outside of that, it was hit or miss, nothing really negative, folks didn't care to pay for other people's debris, their tax dollars to pay for unnecessary debris and trash that folks should be taking to the landfills. But it was mixed, you know, not sure what to do, kind of like what we all sit here with, not really a good solution. So, you know, don't nobody want to put more on any of the citizens and regulate, you know, more regulation for sure. 'Cause I mean, that's what we want to do is, you know, cut out some of the big government. I mean, that's what I would like to do, but unfortunately, you know, we are required to have trash, you know, for the citizens of the community, just like emergency services. So, you know, we need to have a public hearing. I mean, let's have it, I mean, these things are advertised, just as Commissioner Newman said, but maybe we need, A big push for folks to show up and voice their opinion, their thoughts. So, anyone else on this item? Go ahead, Mr. Thomas. Come on up.
My name is Thomas Edwards II, 2847 Pisgah Road. Last couple of weeks I've sat in the city council, second meeting here, listening, learning, as you just heard. Sounds to me like this issue is really a matter of the volume. How do you reduce the volume? And I've heard in other meetings that this council was going to be requested, asked if they could charge the city people a fee to bring some of their extra to the county roll-off site, whatever. I hope that was shot down because like Pam said, you know, we're already paying an assessment to people in the county. So I don't know where the city people's trash goes, but if it's just to get it out of the way so it's not their eyesore and now it's, like he said, it overfills us out in the county, it's not fair to us who's paying a fee already. So maybe to consider as a project, you know, as funds are available. I know things are tight right now, and everything's happening in our county between hurricanes and places shutting down. And because I've been in an industrial environment for a long time, I know these things work. I see them on TV, I see them online all the time. Maybe to reduce volume, could we get a small scale, and I'm talking about small scale, an incinerator to burn some of the stuff? And or not necessarily a chipper. It's similar, it's very slow moving, but I've watched this thing and it's awesome. I mean, it'll take a car frame and just reduce it to nothing. So now you're not worrying about having to have 12 nostrils, you're back down to 6 or 8. And you're reducing the volume like Jim's talking about the big wood. Just like we went through with these hurricanes, all that, where did all that wood that got chipped up? It was reduced. Because had it been left in a big state to have to rot over time, who knows how long that'll take. But if you reduce the volume, maybe that's part of the answer right there.
Thank you, sir.
We do have an incinerator, sir, that we, out on 98.
At the old landfill.
On
Prison Springs?
Most lives inside.
The prison, that's still open?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the landfill's not open, but it's
Incinerator
That's
site.
an incinerator site for,
Just for vegetative debris.
right.
I'm talking about for anything, wood, Christmas trees, because you know that season's coming up. Most people don't, it's volume, and they chunk it in the dumpster, well, that's a lot of volume that can be reduced from, you know, big huge to basically a gallon Ziploc bag. 'Cause you gotta think, it's not just one Christmas tree going out there. So if you can do that and reduce your volume, maybe that's something that's feasible to do.
Well, you know, that option's also there, I mean, Mr. Longbow, for folks to go out, they could take stuff to that site, they wouldn't have to take them to the roll-off site, you know, so I believe that's correct. So the option is there, like you're saying, it is a reducing factor, for sure. In respect to the chipping and mulching, I think the costs on that would be a big time issue as far as what you'd have to invest for the amount that you're gonna reduce. And I don't know just where those would intersect. So, I mean, the cost of maintenance on the chipper plus the diesel and staff is gonna be significant. And not to mention the upkeep and all the rest of that. So, I mean, it's certainly a concept. And it would reduce things, absolutely, but I think the more efficient process is the incineration and burning versus a mechanical process.
I don't think we should discount his idea.
I'm not discounting anything,
Don't
I'm
be
just
maintenance on it, don't
trying
be
to
cost to
be
it.
factual.
It might be something that we could put on our appropriation list or look for a grant and just see what we could, if we could get one, what it would cost. What would that maintenance cost be? Right now, we don't know.
I'm pretty
So
familiar.
anything has maintenance on it, no matter what it is, a vehicle, whatever, but you know, at least we could, let's look into it. I think that's a great idea, because right now with what we've got, people from Steinhatchee are not gonna travel way out 98. They're not gonna do that.
I'm not asking them to do that, Commissioner. I'm just suggesting the realities of what a cost on a gallon of diesel fuel is. And most of those machines are, operating off of diesel fuel. So just the diesel costs, and those, if they're pressed, are running 100 gallons a day, easy, if you're running volume. So if you're spending those kind of dollars in an effort reduction versus an incinerator, it's a night and day comparison when you look at what's effective and what's affordable in our program.
Yeah, well, I certainly don't know as much as you, but at least it's something that we could look into.
Well, you wouldn't have, there's chips stacked up high as this building all over Taylor County. There's no way to use them chips or haul them. You'd have to have another truck to haul the chips. And then you really have no place you can sell them or carry them anywhere, you know, so it'd be an issue to have all the chips. That incinerator, after it gets through with it, it's history, you know. As far as I'm concerned, that's the reason we got an incinerator years ago, was to, solve that problem, not stacking it up, letting it rot and everything like we were doing. We had acres of limbs and tree trunks out there at one time, you know, and that's just what, way it is, you know.
I was a plant manager in Georgia, and we ran grinders, electric and gas. I did that for 5 years, and they're really, really, really high maintenance.
Chippers?
Chippers, they're super high maintenance.
I worked in Buckeye 9 years ago, chippers, I know what it is. Change knives every day.
Change guys after we weld, upkeep on them. You blow a motor out of one of them, and the electrical side was more feasible, but they're super expensive and they're stationary too. You couldn't haul them around. And it was the overhead on it, the upkeep was, the labor and stuff wasn't bad at all, but their life expectancy, because of the high RPM and all that, they didn't last at that, a real high level. For me, they would, they would not warranty them, you know, they knew the time limit on them things when they started. And to try to fix one, you're better off just to try to go buy another one. Am I right, Mr. Dent?
Yeah.
What I'm not talking about is, I'm not talking about a shredder, I'm talking about, or a chipper, I'm talking about a shredder.
I've ran
This
in,
thing moves really slow,
I've ran
Not
in.
tub grinding?
and that could probably be run
Tub
with
grinder,
electric,
so.
where you can just flip a switch, turn it on and off as you need it. Would have to run constant on diesel, gas, whatever. Moves very slow, and I'm telling you, it'll take a frame of a car and it'll reduce it to nothing. So that's what I'm talking about. Maybe when I said chipper was the wrong word, it's a shredder.
You're talking like a metal shredder?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's awesome.
When you take a tire, you run a big tire through it, it'll just shred it to nothing, pretty much. I'm sure that's what.
I've never ran them.
Just look one up. I mean, it's real slow moving. It looks very similar to a, you know what a bark hog is. But it just moves like this, and it might bounce around a little while, and then finally when it catches, it just pulls it in there, and there's a conveyor at the bottom taking the debris wherever it's going. Yeah. And very efficient, reduces.
The
You didn't have to run it all the time on, you know, 8 hours a day on diesel or gas. You know, flip switch, need it on, you don't need it, nobody's there, turn it off.
You mentioned the city, and all of their trash goes to the landfill as well. They have their own trucks that hauls their own trash to the landfill, so that's why we would want the city residents to make sure they dump it, you know, at the locations that's provided by the city, so, go ahead.
When did you want to try to have a public hearing? Is that, and Conrad, is that something I need to place on the agenda for them to, okay. I'll just put it on the agenda.
Second reading in. What's that?
November 2nd.
November?
No.
Yes.
I won't.
I'll make sure that everyone's here when we have the conversation and discuss. Too late to put it in Monday's meeting, I'm sure.
No, it's not. We can put it on the agenda for November the 3rd.
Do we think that's enough time for?
No, I mean, for the board to decide to advertise for a public hearing. Normally, that's approved by the board, and then, you know, y'all can just, because we have to advertise for 10 days. Selena, is that?
You're not doing an ordinance.
You got a what?
You're not doing an ordinance, you're just asking for.
Public input?
So there's no, time limit on that if you're asking for, people to come and, express their views.
So we need to, she's asking, do she need to put it on Monday? Is it okay to put it on Monday's agenda just for the board to approve a public hearing on the item?
Yes.
Okay.
That was my question. Okay.
So just be on Monday's agendas, and let folks know it's just to approve having a public hearing, so.
There you go, you got it.
Because you don't want everyone to show up on Monday, and then that's not,
That's a little short
you know,
notice.
so it's kind of a short, yeah. A little bit. It's,
You might have a public hearing with no public.
okay. All right, well, move on. So next item, item 4, the board to discuss building and planning permit fees.
So during our budget workshops, we discussed that we are, you know, with what the budgeted revenue for building and planning, there is about a $55,000 to $60,000 deficit that we are balancing with basically with ad valorem taxes. So there was a discussion of trying to raise some of our building fees, and Terry came up with some numbers. I will tell you that this year's budget for building and planning, the expenditure budget is a little over $309,000. Our budgeted revenue is $258,000. So based upon 2024 building permits, because I didn't want to use 2025 because we know there's a feud after the storm. So if the board approves some of the changes that our building official is discussing, that would give us an additional revenue of about $37,000. So it wouldn't completely cover the budgeted deficit that we're currently using ad valorem tax revenue for, but it would get us closer. Because I don't know what the permit, I don't know how many people are gonna come in for a permit. So it's really impossible to nail down exactly what it's going to be. But I think if we use the 2024 numbers, that will get us closer than, you know, anything. I don't wanna use 2025 numbers and over-collect, if that makes any sense.
Okay, so have we done an internal study to see why we're losing this kind of money?
We're not losing money, we're just.
If we're budgeted, what was the difference in the 258 and the 309? Did I misunderstand something?
So, the discussion we had during budget workshops was if we wish for building and planning to be self-sufficient, so more like an enterprise fund, so we don't have to use ad valorem tax revenue to balance that fund. So if I look at the projected revenue versus the budgeted expenditure, we don't collect enough in building and permit fees for those departments to be self-sufficient.
So it sounds like to me that the expenses outweigh the revenue.
Well, correct.
And why is that? Have we done a study, an internal study to see what is causing that? Why?
Because we haven't changed the permit fee since 2008.
But what's changed then?
Well, just the cost of doing business.
For instance?
So employee wages.
Fuel.
Yeah, I mean, just everything. And we can continue to operate as we are now. I think the concern was, you know, there was a discussion of trying, since the MSTU had to be balanced with 1 cent sales tax, the discussion was, do we need to look at making this more of a user, you know, supported by user fees versus taxpayer dollars.
But don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm just trying to understand,
Right.
because I represent the citizens. And our citizens are already stressed, and I don't want to do anything else that's going to further stress our citizens. That's where I'm coming from completely. That's it.
Well,
Bottom line.
and we don't have to. We can use 1 cent sales tax to balance the MSTU. And I think the board has made that decision. The question is, should we consider raising the permit fees at all, since they haven't been changed in so many years, to try to balance that fund? I think that was the direction, and so we were just making a suggestion.
Right, well, this board can decide to do that, but I'm not going to vote for that, but y'all can.
Yeah, but you're right, I mean, the staff brought back exactly what the whole board asked them to do, so they didn't just come up with this on their own. Yeah, go ahead, you have something, Terry, you wanna come on?
You want me to, I'm the guy that did it. We're not changing permit fees for houses. They're not gonna change, they're the same. Mobile homes are the same. The things I changed were the things that were ridiculously low. We send a man out to inspect an old mobile home in North County that a person wants to move to South County. We charge $50 for that. I bumped it up to 75. They're minor, it's not a big bunch of money. Some of the biggest pains we have are cell towers. They produce 100 pages of documents that we have to go through, and they're gonna put one antenna up there. We charge them $104. It's not the public. I raised it to $256.25 because it's worth it. And you know what? They've been paying it and they haven't complained a bit. So the homeowner, our constituents are not being hurt by what we've done. Almost all of our little permits, $104. You can't go out there and inspect a saw pole for $104. I think we made it $200, you know? And I'm willing to lower that down, but most of these people that get the saw poles, they're not our citizens. They're people that buy ag rural land and they don't live there, and they don't get a dump fee, and they should pay a little bit more, because that's what they're doing. But I didn't hurt one citizen by what I did. It was just things that were too low and people that weren't paying taxes in the first place.
I'm going to ask you something. Do you get paid the same amount whether you go out and do one of these or not?
I don't
Or do we have to
understand.
pay extra for you to go out and do these?
I don't understand what you're
When you
saying.
say you have to go look at a mobile home or whatever up in the far end of the county, is that all in a day's work for you, or do we have to pay you extra money to go do that?
It's all in a day's work
Okay, then-
for our inspector. But if that mobile home's coming from North County and going to Steenahatchee, you can't do it for $50. You can't go send a man down there to inspect it for $50.
You're talking about our man.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then, I mean, but you still make the same amount of money. We're spending the same amount of money for your salary, whether you go down there and get $40 or you go down there and get $300.
I don't think that'd be a fair comparison, to be honest. I mean, I think if we wanna get down to the nuts and bolts, as to the revenue versus the cost, and figure out, hey, the cost, I would assume, is the employees. For them to get the employees the benefits and such as that. And that's what you're simply talking about doing, is increasing the permit fees to pay for, to be self-sufficient in that department versus depending on, taxpayers, dollars to pay for the building department, and they might not build nothing for 5 years. I mean, that's what and would that be right? But I do have one question on this variance board and variance applications that we have. These citizens come for a permit. They end up going to a tech review board. Or however Tech review can't make a decision, so then we've got to volunteer.
No, there's a decision made. It just may not be what the applicant wants, but the tech review always makes a recommendation.
So there's a recommendation, but not a decision because they're going to a variance board, which is a volunteer.
Planning board, right.
So I guess my question is, we charge these citizens to go to this volunteer board to be approved or not approved. And it's $500, and it could be $1,000, right? Depending on what the project is.
I think the variance application.
Variance is $500.
500, right.
But when we charge them that, we research, there's a lot of research that goes into the variance. It goes up to tech review, which all of those people are paid county employees. Then from there, it goes to the planning board, which those people are all volunteers, but there's a lot of money that's spent.
But then when they're approved, then they have to turn around and purchase a permit too, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out, is that even feasible when you're?
Yes, absolutely. This county, I've done this for 45 years. I've built buildings all over Hillsborough, Pinellas County. This county doesn't charge hardly anything. You go into Pinellas County, want to build a house, the impact fee to have the luxury to drive to that property you own when you pull that permit is $20,000. Then permit fee.
I'm probably trouble comparing us to Pinellas County.
But Hillsborough County's the same way, Pasco County's the same way.
I mean, you can't even compare us to Hillsborough and Pasco, it's just.
What do you think I'm living here for?
It's way different there than it is.
I'm just saying $500 to an individual citizen or a business, and then they have to turn around and purchase a permit.
It's worth it to them. Trust me on that, because
I get a lot of.
I know you do, I do too.
I didn't realize there was a $500 fee, and I question whether that is even reasonable or not.
Well, as a board, you can change the fee, the planning fees, if that's what you wish to
I mean, at the end of
do.
the day, I do that, there's only usually one or two a month, I think, that ends up going, maybe, sometimes it may get a little more than that.
There's gonna be two this Thursday.
I'm just saying, historically, I look at this and there's only one or two a month, so, but like these two this Thursday, they're paying $500.
Yeah, they are. And they deserve, and both of them deserve to pay it. I hate to tell you this, and they were glad to pay it. It's a lot of work, and like you get the calls, and you make calls, and then I get harassed, and it's a lot of work. I mean,
I get the call, I mean, I'm on the board because.
I know, I really feel sorry for you, but believe it or not, on one of those that we're gonna hear on Thursday, I spent a whole day drafting a letter that stated every little thing, because I gotta have everything right. Well, I don't know what I get paid, I never added up what I get paid today, but.
Just some of these things, these guys are, these guys are paying $500 to go to a variance board could even be $100 permit.
But they're asking for something that our code of ordinance does not allow. It's not like, well, we're going to just bump them for an extra $500. They want to move their house 5 feet over here into the setbacks, and we've got to all discuss all of what ramifications. And it's worth it because I have to fight Kenneth Dudley on all of those, and I do. And I don't think there's been but one that I wouldn't put up for a variance. And if we don't put them up, do we refund their money? Absolutely. But if they go up for it and they go through it and they get their variance, they got what they wanted, so they had to pay for that.
So if they don't get their variance, you give them their $500 back.
If we don't, I won't put it up.
If it doesn't go to the planning board, then they aren't charged the $500.
We only have one individual, and like I said, we're gonna refund his money because he just, nothing qualified.
Right.
You know, it wasted our time and and we have, I don't remember what he paid, probably $500, but we probably got $1,500 worth of time in it.
I'm not talking about anyone.
I know, but I'm just saying, that's a reasonable fee, it really is, because you're asking for something, and if it's reasonable at all, I always ask the planning director, even though I get a lot of flack, I'll put it up. If it's reasonable, if it can be done, it's not gonna hurt the next door neighbor, they didn't complain, you know, we do put them up. So I don't think that's unreasonable. And all these fees that I did for the building, it's, like I said, they're peanuts. And I didn't hurt one, if you're applying for a house, it's the same fee. It didn't go up a nickel.
And I would like to say, like on the variance application, so that we have to advertise, we have to send out letters. I mean, we have to
Take
post
signs out
signs.
there.
There
It's
is a
hard.
cost involved, that money helps pay for. I'm not saying it, you know, that the cost outweigh what the charge is.
And every month we lose a sign. I mean, I know it's not phenomenal money, but $30, somebody's out target practicing one of our variance signs.
I guess my thing is it goes to your office. If you can't approve it, you send it to tech review. They don't pay the $500 at that point.
The review, I don't usually deposit their checks.
When it's paid employees that sometimes can't make the decision, that you send it on to this variance board, the volunteer variance board, and at that point, then we charge the citizens $500.
When it goes up to the planning board,
Planning board, variance
we
board.
we deposit their check because they're rendered a decision. And those people are all lay people. I'm not a vote. I'm just presenting, you know, the case. And if it's reasonable, you know, like I said, I always put them up. If it's just absolutely, you want to build a house in the median in US 19, I'm not gonna let you up. I'm sorry.
But we probably spend $200 between signs and advertising, don't we, for every,
The money's
yeah.
well spent. I mean, it's not like when we're
It's not like
gouging somebody.
it's pure, what I would call profit, but there are costs involved that comes out of our budget that we have to pay for.
Well, we pay about $100 just to advertise it.
Well, that's why I was saying in the sign, every sign invoice I've seen is like $150.
So we're using the money to advertise what they want.
But again, if y'all can change those fees if you want to, and you don't have, we're just bringing information to the board as discussed during budget workshops. It's obviously your decision if you want to utilize ad valorem tax dollars to fund that department, or if you want to advertise fees.
I'll let you finish. I guess I may have cut you off talking about the planning board fees, but did you have more?
No, I just wanted to, defend what we did because we need a new truck.
These expenses
Almost.
will make this department whole, Mr. Wanda.
Hold on, they may have some questions, sir.
These expenses, these costs for permits will keep the department whole, is that correct, without using?
Well,
Makes it closer.
just based upon again, now this is based upon the permits that were issued in 2024. I have no idea what we're going to collect or not collect. There's no way for me to guess how many permits we're going to issue. And we can watch it for a couple of months and see what our deposits are and go from there. But again, this was something that was discussed during budget workshops, and we're merely bringing the information back.
Well, I'm just looking at, if I'm reading that right, this list is 17 years old.
Yes, it is.
I Clay would favor that.
I'm sorry?
I believe Clay would favor that.
That's the signature I see there, yes, sir. So, in respect to the growth in this process, if we are to update this list, then basically your new growth is what would continue to sustain your department, correct?
Yes.
Is there a way to get a projection that may be closer? I mean, my thing is, I do feel like these fees should keep your staff, your team going.
I agree with you, but I didn't realize, because I don't do the budgets, but I can just look at it and go, I can't send a man down there for $50. We've got to, raise these fees a little bit, you know, so that we could at least pay the wear and tear in the truck and the time it takes. And so that's, in that building department, it's like people go, how much is this gonna cost? Everything's $104. I don't care what it is.
Well, and I can understand that, but I also respect the fact that we appreciate new growth. But new growth also comes with costs, whether it's inspections or those site visits or advertisements that shouldn't come out of the common account, let's say.
Everything, and everybody knows it here, everything's costing more, the land's more. And we go out of our way to try to help every homeowner. I mean, you wouldn't believe, if you came in for just an hour, I can give you a list of a bunch of different ones that they bought land they can't build on. We're trying to make them whole, you know, I mean, I want them to build a house there, but they can't because the property was split incorrectly. We spend a lot of time we don't get paid for. So the time we can get paid for, you want something that you really are supposed to have, we gotta charge for it so that stuff we are giving away for free.
Well, we are getting paid for it. I think, I understand what you're trying to say.
There's
but-
no cost assessed to it.
Right,
That's all.
right.
But
I remember when we did this, raise these, fees back in 2006. I'm the one that, I didn't set the fees, but I did the resolution. And there's the same arguments that y'all are hearing, from, Mr. McKeever. It's the same argument. And that argument, except you left something out in the argument. When you do these inspections, you got to drive to get to do the inspections. And just think about the difference in the cost of gas in 2006 and in 2025. That's what you just left out, sir, which, and that was the argument then because gas was going up and we hadn't changed the fees. And I know it was a lot of years because this is something that folks don't want to do. You know, you don't want to raise the fees, but it was exactly the same argument that, and of course, this board has always prided itself since I've been the county attorney, and I ain't gonna tell you how long it looks, because you try to figure out how old I am, but this board has always tried to keep every fee as low as possible. Your predecessors is what I'm talking about, in your seats, and the ones that have been here longer than the other ones will know what I'm talking about. So, and one of the things that folks forget to do is if you raise something, you ought to look at it more often than, 17 years. Because it's like, for instance, I tell my client down at Horseshoe Beach, if you're going to raise your water rates, and haven't been on the city before, Ms. Fiegel, if you're going to raise your water rates, are you going to raise your fees for collecting trash or garbage? You need to look at it at least once every 2 years, because if you look at it every 5 years and then you raise it a whole lot, you're going to get a lot of feedback that's going to be negative. Whereas if you raised it a little bit every 2 years, people don't realize it now. I'm saying, well, you're just doing psychologically, but I'm like anybody else. When I look at a bill and it's gone way up higher, I said, if it just went up a little bit, then, it's more palatable to take. Plus the fact that you've got to consider the CPI, inflation, because inflation can go wacko real quick, and I can remember studying in school after World War I in Germany. It took a wheelbarrow full of money to get a loaf of bread because inflation went crazy. And of course that led to other things that I'm not going to talk about. But like I said, it's not a different argument at all. And I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not for big fees, because I think our whole, like I said, our whole board from historically has tried to make it such that our citizens won't have to pay so much for fees. And if they get the building built, then they get hit on ad valorem. And I can remember with regard to, it was brought up about impact fees, and this board never wanted to do impact fees. And that's, to me, that's a terrible fee. I have to pay a fee for the right to build a new house or to build a building or something like that, or to improve my, my office. No, 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 as a citizen, not as a lawyer, you know, I just don't like impact fees. And we hear about impact fees all the, when you go to the, you know, to the conferences or the seminars, you hear about these impact fees. I just want y'all to know some of the history.
But everything's going up. I changed to AmeriGas about 1.5 years ago, and I was paying $1 a gallon for it, and now it's up almost $3. So everything's going up. I mean, if we're gonna keep on buying and have a new truck for our inspector and be able to pay the fuel bill, I'm trying to get us closer to where we pay our own, because I didn't have a clue, but I kept saying, hey, these things, just the little ones, they're too little. And again, I didn't change anything, you know. I think people will complain more about having to come into our building department to get those dump stickers than they do this little tiny bit of money, because it is small. I mean, the public isn't happy about it, and most of them, you know, they all pay it. I don't think I've had 4 people well, I had a couple from the city to try to get permits, or get stickers, and obviously they were in the city. But the people that are coming to get them are all legitimate people. But everything has its price, it does, and unfortunately we're growing and stretching, and we've got to do it too, or it's just gonna get worse, the budget, because these houses we're building and we're, you know, collecting good permit fees for now on the beach isn't that big. They're not gonna last forever. And once we build the beaches back out again, then what the fees we did charge are gonna drop back down. I mean, I haven't raised those anyway. But
Well, that's why I didn't change any, I mean, that's why I didn't use 2025 numbers, because I knew those were probably inflated.
yeah, they're definitely gonna be
Yeah.
higher this year, because everybody wants to get their house in the ground, especially when we had the deal where you had to put it in the same spot over a certain period of time, but now they've extended it to the end of the year because they want to build their house back, and it encroaches on the setback here or there, and they won't be able to do it after Christmas. So they were hitting us pretty hard. They were stacking permits, our building plans up. We couldn't get them out fast enough. I mean, you got to take a couple of hours to look them all over before you can approve them. So I think it's really reasonable. I don't think anybody's going to notice. The people that are going to complain are the ones that come in and go, how much is it for a power pole? You say $104. Why ain't it free? You know? But they're very few. Most people understand. We give them a good service now. And I try to help every single person get what they want. If it's doable, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on this item? Any action we want to take to move with it?
Do what?
Any action from the board that the board wants to take on this item?
Well, we can't make a decision on anything.
I know we can't tonight. Does anyone want to move forward?
I'd love for us to get the public, like Pam said, come in here and advertise for them to come, if they want to come, and put their opinion in it. But when the rubber hits the road, we're gonna have to do something, or it'll finally catch up with us. There'll be more people getting turned away at the dump on Saturday and Sunday because things are full. And So we're gonna have to get a handle on it sooner or later.
I'm talking on that building and planning permit.
Oh, you talking about that? No, I'm fine with that. We need to check the prices of surrounding counties and, see where they're at with it. And if we hadn't gone up in, 17 years, we need to do something. We need, like Mr. Conrad said, you don't wanna hit them with a sticker shock all at one time, go way up, but we need to be working it up to catch up with other counties.
Could staff give us a comparison of our neighbors,
Yes.
or just quantify if this is comparable, you know?
Oh,
I thought we'd done that already, but.
I thought we had to, but we can bring it, I mean, we can work on that and then put it on the agenda for additional discussion during a meeting or talk.
Put it at a meeting,
Okay.
yeah. I think we discussed it tonight enough that everybody knows what there can be a decision made. So, okay. Well, if there's nothing else on this, item, that's the end of the meeting, and, the meeting will be adjourned.
Yeah, but just let me ask you, what about the recycle? We doing any recycle?
We are doing some recycle, the building, you know, that's a turnkey project. I believe in February they'll start, constructing that building. I think it's February, March now. And then we'll be able to, you know, resume operations.
Thank you.
You are the last party in the conference.
So, you know, metal, tires.
Right.
Just not carbon, not plastic.
Taco Tuesday, perhaps. I'd rather have chicken and rice, though. Neck bones and rice.
You know, I had a sister-in-law, Nick Jones, been married to her for 4 years. When I need to come down to the schedule next year.